Welcome. My name is Professor Claude and I am the Director of the International Human Rights Degree Program here at the Joseph Corbell School. In addition to that program, I'm also the Director of the Human Trafficking Center, the Center on Rights Development, and the Co-Director of the Certificate Program in International Law and Human Rights with Sturm College of Law, and I'll say a few words about that at the end. Suppose you're more interested in trying to figure out how to get started here at Corbell in this degree program, and if you haven't had a chance to look at the degree requirements, I would obviously strongly suggest you do that sooner than later. I think it's probably important to try to get as many of what we consider to be the core courses out of the way before you start working on electives, specializations, certificate programs. Not that you can't combine them, but you'd be better off, obviously, getting things like Introduction to Human Rights or International Law and Human Rights done quickly. This is particularly important. I'll talk about it in a few minutes if you're interested in either the Washington, D.C. program or the Geneva program. We've had some issues sometimes when students have gone off to one of those two programs at the end of their first year but haven't actually finished their core courses and then struggle to try to finish their degree in time, having missed basically an entire semester or 2 quarters here. So in terms of the International Studies core, you have a choice of one course, and then there are 3 listed offerings under political theory. That's International Political Economy, Comparative Politics in the 21st Century, and International Politics. But you can look through the website and find other courses that are designated with a PT, that means political theory, that has been designated by certain members of the faculty that meet that standard. So you could take any one of those courses to do that. The program training core right now consists of 2 required courses that I've already mentioned. That's Introduction to Human Rights and International Law and Human Rights. Quite frankly, there's not going to be any way to make any substitution for that in response to students in previous years who have maybe tried to take a course in Geneva or bring another course in. Unless you have taken a course that's almost exactly the same at a graduate level, that's not going to work. So make sure that that is in your very early planning. It really doesn't make sense, quite frankly, to take Introduction to Human Rights and wait until your second year to do that. Then there's courses on statistics, methodology, skills, project analysis. I put a lot of emphasis on, in addition to skills and theory, to learning how to make sure that you're ready for the workplace. And what I've discovered over the years, and talking to IOs and NGOs and government agencies, is that there is a growing understanding and need for people to understand how to do statistics and methodology properly and to do program analysis. Now, I know you may be rolling up your eyes in your head going, oh, I don't want to take statistics, but it's really of critical importance. I can guarantee that the students who have done those and done that work thoroughly in terms of taking at least 2, if not 3 statistics courses, and one is required certainly in methodology, but maybe even 2 and in qualitative and quantitative methodology, have found that their job opportunities have really, quite frankly, greatly expanded. So you need to take a look at that, and I would start the statistics process as quickly as possible, because and I really encourage you to take stats 1, 2, and 3. Some of you can test out of stats 1, or maybe because of your grade point average and other things, you can take a specialized course that's a mix of stats 1 and 2. But if you take 1, 2, and 3, then you'll want to start that as soon as possible. And then the project analysis, that becomes more and more apparent to me how important that is, because as you go working in organizations, small or large, national, local, international, there's an increasing interest and concern about whether or not the programs that have been instituted by those organizations, costing tens, hundreds, and maybe even millions of dollars, are actually effective. And there's a growing body of literature and expertise that is needed to be able to really analyze those programs and then be able to make corrective measures. Obviously, you know, if you've done the stats and methodology, maybe you can influence these organizations to actually done some research before they initiate an expensive program. You may be surprised to hear that it's often not done. So programs are started as people sit around a room in Geneva or in Vienna or Washington or New York without actually having done the serious research necessary to find out the essential qualities that are needed to start up such a program. Now, you'll be registering at a point where other people have already come in and registered. So you're going to find classes, in fact, that are already full. Not to worry. Don't panic at that point. You want to have a series of other fallback classes to look at, and that becomes important. So you want your choices A, B, and C, and think of it as a positive opportunity to maybe take a course that would fulfill an elective or a specialization early on. At a later point, quite frankly, as you gain a little bit of seniority of being a student here, you'll be sort of moved up in terms of when you can register, and that will become much less of an issue as you are here in your career at Korbel. One of the things that you can do, of course, is you can also do specializations, and with the degree program you can do easily 2 if you wish. Specializations don't actually go on your record so much, as this is an important issue as when you're crafting your cover letter. So that in addition to your degree program, you can say, well, I've specialized in development issues or national security issues as it relates to human rights, or maybe forced labor and human trafficking as it relates to human rights. And that becomes an important part of building your career package, as it were, and presenting yourself to prospective employees. There are also a number, and you should look at them, a number of certificate programs. If you do a certificate program, and almost all of them, I think actually all of them you have to apply for, then you need to be a little bit more careful making sure that you can accomplish everything you need to do in your core requirements, your certificate, and then a specialization. If you are interested in make sure that the certificate programs, if you go to www.du.edu/korbel/programs/masters/certificates, but you'll find it. You'll see all the different certificate programs. The one that I run is the Certificate in International Law and Human Rights. I actually co-direct that with a colleague at Sturm College of Law. That one has some particular issues, partially because, or maybe mainly because, they're on a semester system, we're on a quarter system. So that if you are interested in being in that certificate program, there is an application process, and you will hear from us somewhere in June about how that works as an application process, which is, to be honest, competitive. But once you get in that, it becomes important to recognize that you're probably going to have to come to Denver several weeks early, because the semester system begins, I think, 3 weeks early at Sturm College of Law. So it would make more sense to show up a month early, get yourself settled so that you can take one of the core courses in that program on international law. And since it's only offered in fall semester, it would be important that you would be willing to get here early enough to be able to get that done and out of the way. In addition, I run the Human Trafficking Center, which is the only 2-year graduate level training program on forced labor, human trafficking, and international labor migration issues in the United States. Actually, it's the only program of its kind in the world right now. There is a core course for that called INTS 4987. It's called Forced Labor and Human Trafficking. It's a requirement. You'll notice that you can't easily upfront register. You have to get permission from the instructor. That's me. But I keep that course specifically open for first-year students who are interested either in the topic or more specifically interested in working with the Human Trafficking Center for the next 2 years. So there is a kind of an application process with that. But if you're interested, you could drop me a note, and we'll make sure that you are informed when to go ahead and send me an email, kind of an email application as to why you want to take this course, why it's of interest to you, are you interested in working with the Human Trafficking Center. If you want to find out more about the Human Trafficking Center, you can go to the website, which is www.humantraffickingcenter.org, all one word. There's, of course, not surprisingly, a Facebook page, which is facebook.com/Human Trafficking Center. I also run the Center on Rights Development, which is the oldest center here at the Korbel School. And what makes actually both centers unique is that, other than me, really, they are run by graduate students completely. Next year, the Center on Rights Development will be offering its 19th annual Spring Symposium. And each year, the center picks a theme. We've picked a theme for next year that might be of interest to you, is on labor and all sorts of things related to labor. So obviously there's going to be a connection between the Center on Rights Development and the Human Trafficking Center on that topic. But people like Professor Rebecca Galumba has done an enormous amount of research on wage theft issues, both locally and nationally. And she'll be an integral part of us putting together that. And that's a series of panels and films and discussion that leads up to a 3-day symposium in the spring, where we bring national and international experts here to Korbel on that particular theme. Again, if you want to get a sense of more about what that's like, go to www.centeronrightsdevelopment.org, and then the Facebook page is pretty much the same, facebook.com/Center-on-Rights-Development. Don't be confused, by the way. Next year we're launching, at the end of the summer, beginning of the year, a name change for the first time in 20 plus years. The Center on Rights Development, CORD, will be now known as CORE, which is the Center on Human Rights Education. That clarifies really what our mission is. And we tie ourselves very closely to something called the ICESCR, which is one of the 3 international bills of human rights, the International Covenant on Social, Economic, and Cultural Rights. And so we pick our themes from that document, and gives us also the opportunity to work with that particular commission at the UN High Commissioner for Human Rights in Geneva. So the certificate program in international law and human rights can be found at du.edu/Korbel/programs/masters/certificates, and you'll find it there. And just read through, you'll see what the requirements. It splits the obligation of taking courses between the Korbel School and the Stern College of Law. Quickly about the Geneva program and the Washington, D.C. program. I'm a big fan of both. Quite frankly, I started the Geneva program initially for human trafficking students, and then the Human Rights Degree program, and then now it's expanded Korbel-wide. It's a terrific program, but you really have to plan carefully for it to make sure that you are getting your coursework done. I know I've said this before, but a reminder that you need to get certain coursework done before you go off to the Geneva program. For human rights students, you should know that if you want to be in the Geneva program, you're going to need my approval. And that way, that allows me to sort of check in on your course project program to make sure that you are up to date. The Washington, D.C. program is very much like the Geneva program, and you can find more information about that online. Obviously, the difference being that you go to Washington, D.C. and can do internships and coursework there. Finally, the last thing is internships. Internships. Do not wait. Start thinking now about actually where you want to do internships. We really encourage that you not just get out of Denver, but you get out of the United States and go somewhere abroad. This is a school of international studies. So we really want you to have that kind of experience in a different culture, in a different place. Now, that may not always be possible, so you're fortunate in the sense that there are a really very large number of international human rights organizations right here in Denver. So for family reasons or for financial reasons or many other reasons, you may feel that you really have to stay in Denver. But I would encourage you, the school would encourage you, is to have an international experience. But don't wait. Please do not wait until sort of spring of the first year you're here to start thinking about where you want to be during the summertime. I really think that's it. Feel free to contact me at any time. You can find me on the Korbel site. My email surprisingly, is Claude, C-L-A-U-D-E, Destre, D-E-S-T-R-E, at du.edu. So I'm looking forward to meeting each one of you individually when you get here. Thanks.